This is Claire at StudentRDH. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me right now. If it's a yes, let me know. We have the chat if you want over there as well. A chat would be useful for me to understand if you can hear me or not. Let me see. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. So before we start, I would like everybody to see if you can mute yourself. That would be really, really helpful so that we don't have everybody speaking, so we have better quality audio, right? Perfect. So now I just want to ask you guys, how you all doing? Are you guys in school session? Are you still on break? And if you are learning online, Okay, so we some are in spring break, some are doing online learning, some are clinic. Clinic is a challenge. I don't know what you do to study in for clinical sessions. It's a challenge because the hands-on portion is gone, right? Okay, let's see what else we have. So actually, we had 300 people sign up for this webinar. Isn't that incredible? Now, we are at max capacity of 100 students, and unfortunately, some of our participants will not be able to join here. So I'm going to record that, and we'll be able to share that because this has been a very, very interesting topic, right? So we have Abby saying you can't hear me anymore. If you can still hear me, let me know, okay? I would love to, okay, perfect. Perfect. I just wanted to check that with you guys quickly. So I think you are all familiar with Zoom now just because there's so much you do with Zoom, right? And I just want to make sure that everything is running properly for you guys. So if there's a problem, we're going to use the chat in order to make sure that the quality is okay. All right. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Claire, and I'm the founder of StudentRDH. Now, some of you might already know me. Some of you might not know me yet. At StudentRDH, what we have is a dental hygiene exam prep solution. So anybody taking the NBDHE or CSCE or local anesthesia exam anytime soon, May 5th, we have Maddie, we have Jamie, we have Anthony. Okay, perfect. So some of you might already have StudentRDH. You can say yes, you can say no. I'm not here to, tell you to buy StudentRDH or anything like that. I am here just to make sure that we cover some information related to the virus, just because it is that time, like we're alert right now, right? Therefore, when you learn, you're gonna learn so much better because you can relate, you can connect to the information. Perfect. So there's some students who already finished it. We have some foreign dentists as well here. We have, I think, a really nice mix of group today. So we're going to power through this. It's 1 hour. Now, honestly, like I thought, oh, wow, we're going to cover A, B, C, D, and E. And then I did so much research about just virus in general. There's so much just good information to share. So, I promise to do my best over here. So should we soon jump? Let me see if I can switch to my PowerPoint, and then we will be able to start. Now, before we start, I just want to ask you guys if you are feeling okay. I know it's really hard to be motivated at home. I am at home. I'm not in my normal environment. When I talk to people, I see patients or I see faculty members, I just want to make sure you are okay. Say, yes, I'm okay if you are okay. And if you need someone to talk to, guys, I'm here, okay? I'm also sitting in my, bedroom or living room. My apartment, I'll share with you, is extremely, extremely small. It's like about 500-600 square foot. So, it's really hard. And, my joy now is to like do a quick run outside. Hopefully nobody's like around me within 2 meters. That's the only joy I find right now, like physically. But I love having you guys over here. Perfect. So we have some friends who are motivated and productive. Some say it's really difficult, uncertainty, all of that is weighing us down. And all we can do is just try to power through, right? I mean, we have hope that at the end of the day it's going to be okay, right? So it'll be okay, guys, we have this mentality. We're going to keep meeting. I'm going to do a lot more webinars so I can help you absorb the information. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and you can tell me if you see this or not. Okay, there you go. Do you guys see this? If you see it, let me know, and I'm going to start it. We're going to use the same chat. I love you guys are, you know, really participating today. This is wonderful. So I wanted to start with this joke. What do you think about this one? I know it's a bad quality picture. It's like a thing that's floating on the internet. The reason why I like it is because this whole thing kind of looks like a virus. So we're going to see what a virus is today. We're going to see how it's different than a bacteria. We're going to see some other viruses, because the coronavirus is a virus. I mean, they spelled this wrong, but you know, it's just not exactly how you write it. But I just thought it was funny because, you know, this is what it looks like, kind of a gem on the top and some legs. You know, that's what it could look like. But anyhow, I thought this was a joke. So from here today, we're going to really cover some things about the viruses in COVID-19. Now, what you have here, a picture on the left side, is literally a picture of a cluster of some virus. I shouldn't say bacteria. This is just a cluster of them over here. This is really zoomed in, and we're going to learn very soon that viruses are extremely small. There's about 100 times smaller than what a regular bacteria is. So, you know, it's significantly different over here. All right, so here, let's start with like, what's a virus? What's a virus, guys, versus a bacteria? Is there something that, you know, you're like, oh, this makes a virus? You can use the chat right now in order to, you know, communicate with me. I just am here just to make sure that you are going to learn everything from me. Sorry, I made a mistake over here. Okay, so if you can see over here, what is a bacteria versus, so we said it requires our host. That is an amazing answer, guys. What else? What else can you tell us about it? It's not a living thing like a bacteria. That is an excellent answer as well. There's no nucleus. It has like an RNA versus a host. Okay, that is great. Okay, so what I want you to see over here is that virus is very different than bacteria. They're all in this category that is called microorganism. Have you guys heard of microorganism? It's basically saying like small organism. It's basically saying that they're really small. What other type of microorganism can you guys think of? What other types are there in this world? We have bacteria, we have, what other type? Fungi, yeah, that's one. What else? What else do we have? Is there something that is called a protozoa? Sorry, I'm gonna reach out for a book. Yes, right? So all of those, and also including bacteria and virus, are part of microorganism. We can't really see them with our own eyes. And when we're dealing with the oral cavity, it's all about the little things that we can't even see. But the patient has a condition where like, oh, you have this and this and this bacteria, and they might not listen to you because they can't see it, right? So this thing we're dealing with right now, the coronavirus, is a virus, it's a microorganism, and we're going to discover a lot about viruses today. So this is more like a mash between the virus, coronavirus, and what you need to know for the board examination so that we can really absorb this information when it's really relevant to us. So this is actually a screenshot of StudentRDH. I just wanted to show you what kind of, I'm just going to make it smaller, what kind of information there is as in definition. So let's look at it together. So I asked you what kind of microorganism they are. There's algae, bacteria, fungi, prions, protozoa, and all of that. Now, bacteria is the simplest of creatures considered alive. Just like you said on the chat, it is alive. Okay. It is, you know, a unicellular form. So it's like, you know, in one cell, it's a living thing. And you know how they grow? They grow by division, like that. And then this will create 4, right? Now virus is small. It's smaller and it requires our host. That is the most important part. You know, there's some school of thought that they say, hey, actually virus is alive. It's a living thing. And some school says, well, it's not a living thing per se. So I'm not going to get into the discussion of what the definition is really about, whether it's living or not living. But what's really important is the host. Now, the host doesn't just have to be us, people, or animals. It can be plants, and it can also be bacteria. Viruses can invade anything that's living. That includes a bacteria as well. Now that's, you know, something that we might not really recognize, or even a plant. A plant is a living thing. It's going to get into those cells and replicate itself. So a virus can affect us, can affect plants, and it can affect other bacteria. Now, let's continue with the RNA and DNA. So just like some of our friends who have explained over here, let's look at the picture over here. So what you have is basically all of this is a RNA or DNA. And it has just like a coating, protein coating, okay? That's about it. Basically, it's, I would say, like literally, you know, when you see movies, there's like a bomb inside and there's just a package. It gets shipped somewhere. That's basically it. There's not much going on. What about this? This is a bacteria. They have the chromosome, the RNA, DNA inside. What else there is? There's many other things that makes it a living thing, okay? All of those little components, such as the ribosome and the cytoplasm and all of that, and they have a full membrane as well. This is very, very different. So this is like, you know, in size, this is about 100 times smaller than a bacteria. That's why when we go back actually to this picture, they can't even look at it under microscope. They have to look at it with an electrical microscope, which it really is, you know, the thing that would detect the virus, that would give us a picture of the virus, because it is so small. Okay, so we learned a little bit about what it looks like, the structure, right? And I want you to just go back over here just to look at the size. This is not really a representation, but it just shows that, you know, a virus is much smaller than a bacteria. Now let's see, reproduction. How does this happen? So let me try to quickly draw this. So we have a virus. I'm just gonna make it look like a coronavirus, okay? So we have this virus, and inside there is the DNA and RNA. And what is going to happen here is that, you know, there's a human over here. And although, you know, virus can, I said, do animals, can do everybody else, okay? Any living thing, which is plants and which is also bacteria. Okay, there's a human being over here. Does that look like us? No, it looks like a penguin. Anyhow, when you have this virus, it's going to get into our human body. Let's just take the coronavirus as an example. Okay, it doesn't have to be a human body, but again. So I'm going to draw a human cell. So this is actually the blood vessel, and we have a lot of different cells. Well, we have organs as well, right? We have the liver, we have the heart. The heart doesn't look like this, but I'm just drawing the heart. So what you see over here are kind of like the locks. So it needs to kind of fit, you know, if you have a door and you have a lock over here, you need the perfect key to get in there. So those are kind of locks, and it unlocks like an organ or something. Sometimes it's the nervous system, such as the polio is really attacking the nervous system. In our case with the COVID, it is attacking more the, you know, respiratory system. So it has a key to attack or respiratory system. It's really hard to draw with your mouth. But okay, so those are gonna unlock it. Okay, when you get inside, okay, this is the production chamber. Let's say, the virus got inside this production chamber. What's gonna happen here is that let's just think about like a machine. Okay, here's my awesome drawing. Oof, you guys need to get used to this, okay? And let's say there's a machine on the top. So this virus, this RNA DNA is gonna get into that, and this whole thing is gonna start running. And then at the end of the day, when this is done running, it's gonna spit out some sort of, a copy of what this one had. So this is more like a manual, okay? It's like, do this and replicate more cells. It's hijacking the human body and say, make more cells, make more copy of yourself, as many as you can, million if you can. This is basically what's happening with the virus. Again, very different from how a bacteria divides. A bacteria, one gets into two, gets into four. That's a very different process. It's a copying machine, basically. It's using the human body as a copying machine. Do we get this so far, how the virus reproduces itself? So we are literally just like tools for the virus. They're like, great, let me get into this human body that's going to serve me so I can reproduce. Why do they reproduce? Well, we don't even know, right? They don't have a brain. It's just human nature. It's just survival. They are trying to survive, and they're using us, animals, plants, or whatever they can find that's living to make themselves multiply, replicate. Now, I said there's about 1 million that can form. But how many million cells are there in our human body? They say maybe 100 million cells, or actually even way more. As 100 trillion, so sorry. I think that's with 12 zeros. So in a way, a virus can infect us, but the reason why generally we are okay, we recover from it, because we have way more cells in our body that can help us survive. We have macrophages, things like that, that's going to come eat the virus. We have a whole alarm system that's going to off and go kill this guy. And we have other cells in their body that are going to be okay. They're going to be surviving even if 1 million of those are created. So that's really kind of the gist of how a virus reproduces. Now you know how all this is done. Let's think about something else. The coronavirus. Let's dive a little bit more into it so we tie it back to what we have to know about this microorganism and how we can actually be good with infection control. So one thing is, do you even know why the name corona started to appear? Like, what's the origin of this corona? Like, not where it came from. I'm asking, why is it named corona? Do you know that? If you know, you can say yes. If you don't know, you can say no. We have Danny that says the shape of it. Okay, that's really good. Looks like a crown. Alicia, perfect. A lot of you don't know yet. Jamie said shape, makeup. That is perfect as well. So what we have over here is corona being the shape of, first of all, this crown, okay? Or, when there's sunburst, like those are like the burst, the spikes are called corona. It doesn't come from the beer Corona, guys, okay? But it has the same name. And here, this is, again, a microscopic view of the virus. What does it do? It has spikes like that, right? More like that. So we're gonna use that and create a name. And they say this looks like corona, right? I mean, it always needs to look like something so our humans can comprehend. Now, corona is one thing, but the virus, coronavirus, is actually a whole family of virus, okay? It's not just like this coronavirus. Actually, the 2003 SARS, do you guys know about SARS? Have you lived through SARS? I actually did. Okay, Anita, Danny, you all have, okay. Anybody else who remembers SARS? Anissa, I mean, Mary, we have Emily who doesn't remember it. Yes, yes, we had a great answer. Ashley saying a severe acute respiratory syndrome. It's a severe acute respiratory syndrome. Perfect. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. I'm not going to try to write it, guys. But SARS is actually, oh, Courtney, second grade. I mean, I lived through it. I forgot exactly how old I was. Maybe in high school or so? No. Oh, actually, that was when I was in college. College, okay. So the SARS virus is also, it's not a virus actually. What we call SARS, it has nothing to do what actually the virus name is. I mean, it has a little bit, but SARS is not really the name. It's kind of saying what kind of disease you have. So coronavirus is the big family, it's the umbrella of the family that caused, the 2013 what we call SARS. And, this coronavirus is characteristic is kind of that it gives you a respiratory illness. Compared to, let's think about herpes. Herpes is also virus, okay, herpes 1 and 2. But what does herpes do? It attacks what? You're going to get, blisters if you have herpes 1. If you have herpes 2, that's going to be in your sexual organ. So that's going to be different. However, as you can see, the target is different. In this case, we're thinking about the respiratory tract. And thanks for saying ganglion. Yes, it lives in our nervous system forever. That's what it attacks. Thank you for saying that. So there are hundreds of coronavirus types, There are many, many different types. And they circulate among animals usually. That's why it's kind of rare to see this in us, in human bodies. And where? They could be the pig. They say it could be the pig. What else? Bat. Anybody saw that movie, Contagion? Yes. Zoonotic. What is zoonotic? Is that another movie? So Contagion, I saw it a long, long time ago. And then I saw it again just because obviously, I needed to see it again because of what's happening right now. So Outbreak, I haven't seen that one. Okay. It's almost the same thing as what's going on right now. Maybe I should watch it, Outbreak. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that in the movie, they trace it back to the bat being the origin of the virus. The bat was eating a banana. The banana fell into the pig's farm, and the pig ate the banana. The bat dropped. I think that's what happened. And then the chef touched the pig's tongue and then shook Gwyneth Paltrow's hand. Okay, so that's where it went into people. But basically, it's kind of like that. And it seems like a zoonosis is also about an infection disease. Okay, so maybe I'll watch that. But what I'm trying to say is that it came from a certain source. And we're not exactly sure where this coronavirus came from. But there are a lot of speculation. Could be a pig, bat, monkey, many different things. Now, there's 7 coronavirus among the hundreds that came to the human. And, some of them are mild. They're called, those are the virus names. But 3 of them have given us some severe problems. So one of them is SARS, okay, that's up in 2002, 2003. And then we have the MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. And that was in 2012. And now we have COVID-19, which emerged in December 2019. So again, coronavirus is a large family of viruses. So it's inaccurate to see the coronavirus, we have to be a little bit more accurate in saying which type of coronavirus is causing us all of this. Now, another thing I want to talk about here that I probably didn't put in a PowerPoint here is that when you have the virus, there's the name of the virus, and there is actually the name of the disease, sorry. So COVID-19 is not the name of the virus, it's the name of the disease, okay? So if you say the coronavirus disease, you know, it's not false, but it's not accurate. COVID-19 is the disease name. For example, if you think about AIDS and HIV, which one is the virus and which one is the disease name? Is that HIV or is it AIDS? Right, you can take a guess over here. When I say HIV, it's the disease. Ashley, thank you. Okay, so HIV is the virus and AIDS is actually the name of the disease. Very good. And all of this, guys, by the way, I'm taking from sources that we can trust. I'm not making this up. This is really all about, you know, the CDC. What other sources? We're using the NIH. What else is there as a trusted source? The WHO, World Health Organization, right? When we see WHO every single day on the news, right? What else? You know, they could be Department of Health. So yes, I'm just making a point that we have to use sources that we can trust, not just what we can see, you know, on some sort of Vox.com. All right, so now this is the name of the disease. Let's look at the actual name of the virus. It's called the SARS here, CoV-2. That is actually the virus name, guys. So when you want to actually be, you know, more specific and talk about the virus name, if you say SARS-CoV-2, I mean, there you go, gold star for you. You are being very specific, because coronavirus is more like saying, I have inflammation in my mouth, but then caused by what? You know, then we know exactly what it's caused by. It's a SARS-CoV-2. Do you follow me so far? So I just wanted to share this because, you know, when I read more and more, they're talking about SARS-CoV-2. I'm like, what is this SARS-CoV-2? That is the virus name. COVID-19 is the name of the disease. They came up with this name in about February 2020. After about 2-3 months, the actual disease started. 19 come from 2019 when they really started identify the disease. It took a while for us to recognize it, I think, in North America, because it originated from China. We are good on this, right? So let's call it SARS-CoV-2, because the one that started the, you know, the SARS in 2002 is SARS-CoV-1. Okay, that's the name of the virus. Now they kind of give it similar name because they are very, very similar in nature. And you'll see a lot of research that they do on SARS that are applying to COVID-19 just because of the similarities. We're dealing with the cousin, with the brother of what happened in 2002. Now, how does it spread? You know, this is a big question because we don't really know what to do right now. And I'm not giving you a definite answer. Again, I'm looking at the CDC, the NIH, and every trustable sources to understand how this spreads. This is from the CDC. It is a person-to-person respiratory droplet contagion. Person-to-person, what does that mean? You know, and it just means simply by being in contact with someone. That's why, you know, it's really important for us to be, you know, they say about 6 feet away, so 2 meters, 6 feet away of each other, because we can give it to someone else. Now, let's dive a little bit more into this droplet, because there's a lot of confusion what a droplet is versus an aerosol or airborne. So basically aerosol, meaning that it's just somewhere in the air. There's a droplet as an aerosol, there's airborne infection as an aerosol. Now, droplets is kind of the, you know, when you spit, or not spit, actually, when you sneeze, okay, there's a person, you guys ready to see me sneeze? In the picture over here, okay, you sneeze, okay, sometimes you can even see your own droplet flying in the air. Have you ever done that before? Like when you cough, sometimes you can't even see your cough flying in the air, especially when there's like lighting and then there's a shadow, like you just see that it's happening, right? So Danny, your oldest, drive me crazy. That's so funny because he just, he or she just, sneezes everywhere in the air. So this is droplets. Okay. Yes, everywhere. And then I'm going to show you an image after that, but it just literally drops, not too far because it's heavy. Okay. And here we talk about different things such as 20 microns. It needs to be larger than 20 micron. I say it depends on the literature. This is again a screenshot of StudentRDH, but because some literature say it needs to be larger than 60 microns. So I'm not going to debate that, but we know it's larger than what? Then some aerosol that is created that are small, that are 5 microns. Now we can't even see microns, okay? So let's not try to see it, but just think in our head. You divide this thing by like 4 or even like more, okay? Or 10. So you have this little droplet when you sneeze, it's gonna be like this small. That is an airborne. So where do you see this? Sometimes when you use the ultrasonic, there's really, really fine mist, like meters and feet away from where you actually had it. That's an airborne infection. Okay, it travels through longer distance and stay in the air because it's live for a longer period of time. So that's really the difference between the droplet and airborne. And the problem with airborne is that, it really stays suspending in the air and it might take hours for it to come back down to the ground. So they think so far it's a droplet person-to-person infection, meaning you're standing right here in front of someone who sneezed, or you're standing right in front of someone who coughed, or someone coughed with their hands, okay, blocking their mouth, and then just touching the doorknob. You touch that doorknob, you just put your hand on your face, there you go. That is contagious. However, if you were covering your mouth, that's why when you're sneezing, they say do this. So nobody's really actually going to really touch this area, right? It's a lot less likely. So that's where also the 6 feet away comes in, just because when you are 6 feet away, like here, you probably won't get sprayed by the droplets. The little tiny thing can be in the air, but they say it's not really that's going to cause infection. Now, if it was airborne, we are in a really, really big trouble, because that means any air vent circulation that happens in the house, in the apartment, in the hotels, that's a problem. So luckily, so far, they think it's droplet. But again, I don't want to give a definite answer. I'm just being updated every single day. But this was just a good way to review how we can think of this droplets versus airborne for our board's review. Now, N95, there's a lot of think about N95, right? It's a lot smaller holes than like the regular mask that we normally use. And it says it blocks 95% down to 0.3 microns, saying that it really blocks everything. If you think the aerosol is 5 micron, it blocks even things that are 0.3 microns. So that's why an N95 is a lot more powerful than a regular surgical mask that we have. So air vent circulation, the virus becoming airborne was part of outbreak. Great. Movies are great for, to be there, to be able to inform us of what's going on. So Alicia, you're saying corona is 0.12 micron. And that probably is true. Now the N95 can't completely block it, right? But the science is saying that even though the virus is so small, it's not transmitted through the very, very small particle of water that is suspending in the air. It is only you can only get infected if you have kind of a larger droplets. I hope we are okay on this. Masks are more effective when worn by the sick person to protect others, or by health people to protect themselves. And Maddie, the answer is both. We're going to look at the chain infection, okay? So the chain infection is not just for the healthcare provider or just the patient. But honestly, if I had to say something, the sick person definitely have to wear it. Why? Because he or she can spread it by just even talking, right? If you talk a little too loud, like even I'm doing right now, talking with a lot of passion. It just, who knows if I have some droplets coming out of me. And if someone was sitting, less than 2 meters across from me, they can get it by just talking as well. So it's really, really important for someone to cover their mouth if they think they are infected. Okay, here, this is an image that I wanted to show you. So those are the droplets. As you can see, they travel, okay? 5 feet is about my height, so I'm pretty sure. But anyhow, I just think about me lying on the ground saying, if the droplets goes further than that, then there's a problem. And the airborne, when we talked about, they're also called droplets nuclei. They circulate much longer and larger distance. Now here, if you can see, measles. Measles is a really, really, I would say, scary disease, just because, as you can see in the pictures, it just spreads like that. You can be very far away from the actual person and be catching it, because that's why they say it's really, really highly contagious. So that's measles. Versus Ebola. Ebola is also a very, very scary virus-borne problem, but this spreads a little less than measles. So this diagram, I think, is really easy for us to understand. So now when we're talking about the coronavirus, we're more talking about in this Ebola kind of pattern versus this airborne pattern. Now let's look at a few different things. So SARS-CoV-2, we know that that's actually the name of the virus, is still detectable in the air for up to 3 hours, up to 4 hours on copper, 24 hours on cardboard, and days on plastic and stainless steel as well. So this is the National Institute of Health that is saying that. Now things are changing, right? They might come to the conclusion saying actually it lives only 2 hours or 20 hours. Who knows what that is, right? However, what I'm trying to say here is that they came up with the conclusion that it lives on surfaces. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you have a cup, like that, and you drank it, or you talked and there were some particles, that droplets that landed on it, it can live there for hours. Okay, does that mean you're going to contract it? Not necessarily, but it can live on surfaces. That's why in dental office we're really good at cleaning everything, from the monitor to the chair to every single thing that you have ever touched. All right, so let's continue. I know there was some some comments. Sorry, I haven't been able to read this because I was drawing. So if that's okay, I'm going to continue over here. Now, the structure of the coronavirus, again, we saw that it's related to its shape, right? One is like its crown, kind of a corona of the sun shape. And as we talked about, this is the RNA inside, and there's an envelope, okay, made of kind of protein. And this thing is also protein, a mix of lipid and then protein. So you have all of this, and this is from the American Society of Microbiology. This is what they understand about the virus structure right now. And we just talked about the name over here. Now the other one, measles versus rubella. Rubella is the virus, and this is the disease. Now, I think what's really important for us as a takeaway is this helps us dive into infection control, right? I mean, now everybody's alert, right? I mean, anybody here in the chat, you can tell me, are you a lot more cautious about infection control than you were before? Like even at home? Or what about when you go to the dental office? Do you think you're gonna really be careful about how you treat your patient, what you're gonna wear for a mask, when you throw it away, how you're gonna wipe your counters, right? I mean, I'm alert too. Sometimes, especially in your school, they make you clean like you never cleaned in your life before. And I'm like, There was a reason for that. There's a reason why they make you wipe things with soap and water. And there's another reason why you use like, you know, cavicide after that. So we're going to dive into that, tying it back to infection control. So here we have, sorry, I'm keeping like changing the area of our chat just to make sure that we can all be here watching each other. Okay. So PPE, first of all, PPE, you know, everything that protects us is a PPE. It can be a face shield, it can be a gown, it can be glasses. All of those are PPE. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the sequence needs to be, but at least we know that when we are taking our gloves off or our clothing off, it needs to come from the inside out, right? So when you're taking your gloves off, you're taking it very carefully so you're not touching the outside surface. Now that's a given, right? And we're going to talk about cavicide really soon, Crystal. And I just want to go into, you have to change your mask for every patient. It becomes moist. Like moisture, not so much for bacteria, virus, but for bacteria, it's like giving them a playground to be like a gathering center. You're feeding it what it needs, actually, right? Bacteria grow better. I mean, it's not all bacteria, but better in kind of moist conditions. So that's why you can't keep wearing your mask again and again, because even though you feel like you don't see it like starting to get moist, you know, by you talking naturally, by breathing, you are bringing this warm water into the system, and then bacteria are going to love it. So PPE is all there in order to protect us. And if you see right now the crisis in North America or everywhere else, you know, Italy, they don't have enough PPE. Like surgeons do not have enough PPE. This is a crisis, right? You seen that on the news, right? They don't have enough masks, they don't have enough gowns. So I don't know if your school has donated whatever you guys had in order to help support the clinics and everything, the big hospitals. And you know, that's really the basic. We need to protect ourselves somehow. And PPE is really important in dentistry because you know how close we are to the patient, right? I mean, we're this close. I mean, we're even closer than that sometimes. So this droplet could directly affect us. And one thing I wanted to tell you guys, if when you wear your PPE, the mask, you literally have to kind of contour it around your face. There's a little, you know, metal piece that helps you with that. Don't just put it on, because things can drop in from every different angle to attack open areas such as your nose and your mouth. Gray's asking about the hand mask, the handmade mask. Okay, so what I understand from the handmade mask is that it's not really there to be a substitute for the other masks we have, but they are asking surgeons or doctors, nurses to wear it on top of their mask so they can keep washing that. So they use that more like as a first barrier. Because when you have a droplet, you can imagine it's going to land on that first. So if you keep washing it, you can keep, you know, destroying the virus there. It's going to be okay. And they have the second layer underneath. So that's what they're really trying to do versus completely repairing it with the little, like, you know, flimsy, I don't know, hand sewn mask that I would create at home. So that's what I understand. Let's continue our journey over here. What about hand hygiene, right? I mean, we know now the whole country knows you have to wash your hands. There's been songs about hand washing. If you have a good one, please send it to me, you know, tag me. I would love to reshare it. People are being so creative right now. So hand washing, why is it important? So let me do some little bit more drawing over here for you guys. Whew. I'm really not good at this drawing thing, but I'm trying my best. Okay, here's a hand. It's not an aloe. This is a hand. What I'm trying to get here is that we're gonna take a little virus. Okay, let me take another color over here. We're gonna take another color and let's see, virus. What color do you want it to be? Red. Okay, let's make it red. Red. Okay. You have this virus. Now I'm going to blow this up, and it's going to be the coronavirus with spikes. It looks like a squished dumpling, but this is the coronavirus. Okay, now this, if you blow it up again, the outside layer over here, you know, is made of protein and lipid. Okay, this very outside layer, I'm not talking about the inside, the outside layer. And you know what the soap does actually? What soap is good at is, you know, soap kind of destroy things in a way because soap dissolve lipid. Soap dissolves things. So that's why when you have a dishwasher, when you wash your dishes with soap, you have this layer of fat just coming off. So what this does is also the soap, and I'm going to just create bubbles that represent the soap. When it touches some areas of the virus, it's going to literally break away. It's going to dissolve some part of the virus like that. And this thing, you know, is going to create a hole. Now you have the entire section gone. The virus has not been destroyed completely, but you kind of broke down the wall. So now this is going to be ready to die. That's what happens with hand washing. Now you can't just wash your hands 5 seconds and expect this wall to break down. Just like anything you do, okay, you have to keep going at it. And that means 20 seconds, guys. 20 to 30 seconds. At school, how many seconds did they teach you to wash your hands? How many seconds was the gold standard for you at school? Do you have an answer for that? I would just love to know. You know, every school of thought could be different, 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, that's generally the consensus, 20 to 30 seconds. Now, guys, you can tell me how difficult it is to wash your hands for 20 seconds. I mean, I find this honestly extremely difficult. You know, usually when we wash our hands without thinking, you know, how many seconds do we have? Even like 2 seconds, right? So now it's like saying, yes, difficult to brush your teeth for 2 minutes. Who does that? Like, unless you are a healthcare professional or dentist or hygienist like us, right? But now we know, and thanks to Vila or Gianna saying that we need to do that. So 20 seconds. How I don't care what song you sing, okay? I don't care what you do. Sing whatever song you do, count in your head. I just counted in my head. But 20 seconds is what it takes to break down those walls, because 5 seconds is just not enough. It's just, it's not really gonna make a dent in the virus. I just wanted to highlight this about hand washing. There's a reason they tell you 20 seconds. And a glove is not a substitute for hand washing, okay? You still need to wash your hands even if you had gloves. Who knows, there was a hole in there, okay? And especially before, between patients, you have to wash your hands. Now let's talk about some sanitizer, because that's been like the biggest deal, right? Sanitizers, like anybody went to hunt for some sanitizers over here? Anybody went to hunt for some toilet paper as well? You know, so let's look at sanitizers. Now this is StudentRDH, this is a screenshot, but this is what we teach you by the CDC guideline. Yes, hand washing is better than sanitizer. True, because according to the CDC, you know, hand washing is more effective in general. Hand sanitizer, okay, let me use the same hand, guys, okay? Is that if there is some sort of dirt, if there's some sort of like, you know, area that, you know, had some food or something on it, when you use the hand sanitizer, it's not going to be effective over here because it didn't actually get into the layer underneath. But when you wash your hands, you're actually going to kind of take care of everything at the same time. So they say when you are using the hand sanitizer, the premise is that your hand is not soiled. There's nothing really too much moisture or nothing really going on. So then the alcohol can get right on your skin. Does that make any sense to you guys? And Alice, you're saying, yeah, there's no physical debris. So hand washing is still number one. They say doesn't change whether you use a bar soap or whatever kind of soap. When you say antibacterial, doesn't really even make a difference. Okay. Like people going to liquor store and buying alcohol as a substitute to make their own. I'm rolling my eyes with you, Kelly. They don't understand. Okay. Why? Because according to the CDC, the alcohol concentration has to be greater than 60%. Like, I'm not sure what you're going to buy at the liquor store going to be greater than 60%. Like, I mean, are they measuring it? I don't know how they really are doing that. And that's why when you look at like those, not I have anything against, things that are, I don't know what to say, not organic, but things that are, saying naturally made, natural ingredients. For this case, I think we need to be cautious. Like, I don't care about natural ingredients. I just need alcohol in my hand sanitizer. That's it. So let's look at this one. Disinfection versus, disinfection versus sterilization. Those are two different things. What we're trying to do is actually just disinfection, meaning we're making it cleaner. When you're sterilizing means like you're just getting rid of every single thing. When things are sterile, meaning there's nothing left. But in this case, we're just disinfecting. We're not killing everybody. We're not putting ourselves in like, steam chambers to kill everything, right? So we're just using soap hand washing. Now, disinfectant, there are many different kinds. Now, at school, what you are probably using is a high-level disinfectant or at least an intermediate level disinfectant. Low level means like there's no tubercidal claim, meaning that they don't really know if it does anything for tuberculosis. Now, when you go to a higher level than that, yes, it does something for the tuberculosis and also kills obviously the majority of viruses, okay? And when you get to the next level, it kills more. Okay, viruses to spores. Spores is like kind of the really resilient part that's kind of like, they're in hiding. They are conserving that energy to burst someday, but those are really, really resistant. So you have many different levels. And I'm going to show you very soon a link to EPA, okay? That's going to tell you what which brand or which category of disinfectant is going to do it against the coronavirus, because not everything is affected against the coronavirus. There's so many different kinds. As you can see here in the intermediate, it says the majority of viruses, saying some virus could still be there. So we need to specifically target what's the coronavirus right now. Some are more resilient than others. Okay, so here's the EPA, and I feel like I almost need to get out of it in order to show you. So bear with me. I'm going to get out of my presentation, and I'm going to get out of my presentation, and I am going to take you over here. So let's see. Okay, wow. No, okay, no. Guys, I'm just trying to get here right now. Okay, so this is where you have to go. You can find it in EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency. That's going to give you a full chart of what you can actually use for the coronavirus. And thank you, Danny. I thought I could. Maybe I didn't link it today. So if you can see export PDF, and I've done it already yesterday, but I'm going to export it again over here. As you can see here, you have a whole list of things. And I want you to see over here, there's something that is called the poliovirus, norovirus, rhinovirus. There's so many different kind of viruses. So it's telling you basically hydrogen peroxide, which is the main ingredient of this Clorox commercial is effective against those viruses. Do you see any mention about the coronavirus over here? No, right? I just want to make sure that I see your chat. So click enable content. I'm going to try this next time. Okay. So a lot of things. Let's find something that you might be able to. What about Lysol? You know, we all know Lysol, right? Lysol come with so many different variation of this. They have this lime rust toilet bowl, let's say, for example, and then poliovirus. It helps with poliovirus, Hep A virus. Now, hydrogen peroxide, Anita is asking, it's a good, no, hydrogen peroxide per se, not really used for per-procedure rinse, but it's possible. I've done that when I was at school and it was diluted. Yes, it's not straight hydrogen peroxide. For sure diluted, it is. Because as you can see here, hydrogen peroxide is effective against some viruses. So it is a good way to just, you know, kind of help the patient reduce that so it's safer for them and for you. But again, you have to rinse for a good amount of time. You can't just rinse it for 5 seconds and be okay. Now, let me show you something else. Purell. You know, many of us use Purell, right? And it's mainly made of ethanol. Now, does it say anything that it is effective against the coronavirus here? This is what, you know, personally confuses me too, because according to this chart, the Purell that is used for our hand sanitizers that are more than 60% alcohol is not exactly effective against the coronavirus. So I asked myself, are those hand sanitizers even legit? Like, I mean, I understand it works against the norovirus, but what about the coronavirus, right? Okay, so do you guys want me to go to the original PowerPoint? Is that what it is? Or I can send you the link to this as well. Why don't I send you the link right now? Would that, I don't know if this is gonna work. No, that's the PDF. What about this one? Why don't I send you the link right now? Right here. Just click on this. No, not privately. I'm gonna send it to everybody. How can I do that? Right here. I'm gonna send it to everybody over here, guys. You have the chart now. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a search, right? I'm gonna say Corona. Oh, not here. No, I was gonna do this. I'm gonna do a search and I'm gonna say Corona. So now you can see that there are some brands and products that are actually effective against coronavirus. Do you see this now? They say coronavirus all over here. So those, you know, quaternary ammonium is one type of chemicals, but you see the brand name, you know exactly what company made it. Those are said coronavirus. So that's why we have to ask ourselves, like, really, is it the one that's like Purell 60% is gonna help us? I don't know. I have questions in my head because when I look at this chart, you know, Purell is not on here for the human coronavirus. It's there for another type of virus. Okay. Oh, my. Oh, shit. Okay. So sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. What you can't see here is that what I'm always actually, what about this? What about this? What about this? If I do this, do you guys see my screen now with like the chart that I was talking about? All right, sorry about that, guys. So the link, what I'm trying to tell you here is that, okay, let me do a search with Purell. Purell. Okay, so you have Purell, and here, if you see, there's no mention that it's effective against the coronavirus. It's effective against norovirus. Now, I'm going to do a search with coronavirus. And here, I have some brands and product that's going to be effective against coronavirus. Do you see the difference? So we have to specifically find something that is going to be okay against the coronavirus. And, you know, I can't say Clorox everything, But there's certain types of Clorox made by the Clorox company that contains quaternarium ammonium that can be effective, right? And what about this one, Cavicide, right? We had a question about Cavicide. Okay, so Cavicide is effective against the human coronavirus, right? But you have to be careful that there are many different types of Cavicide. Let me do a search of with Cavicide. Cavicide. So you have here the Cavicide bleach. Is that effective against the coronavirus? No, right? It's against the polio and rhinovirus, meaning that if you do Cavicide bleach, you know, you are still exposed to the human coronavirus. What about Cavicide wipes bleach? You know, it's effective against a different type. What about something called one? Because, you know, Cavicide, just like Clorox or anything, Tide, it has many different versions. And when you use the series called one, yes, it's effective against this, but again, not the coronavirus, okay? So, you know, I just wanted to show you this chart over here so we're a little bit more informed. And Danny is saying, yes, the human coronavirus is the common cold, and it's been there for a long time, right? And now we have a new strain, okay? And you're correct, but we haven't exactly identified what the new strain is, exactly where it came from. That's why, you know, when I look at this chart, I really look at things that already says it's effective against the coronavirus. Now, one thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint over here. Is that, you know, I just wanted to show you this. So there's Cavicide 1 and there's Cavicide, the regular one. As you can see, the active ingredients are a little different. They're a little different. As you can see, there's this isopropyl and then ammonium chloride. And this is the one that says, okay, it's fine over here. And there's some other ones that's with ethanol, isopropyl, and then, you know, this chloride as well. This is kind of the one. So just saying that, you know, the brand is, you know, has something to do with it, but we really need to narrow it down to which one of them is effective. Okay, Danny, it seems like you would have been a great microbiologist. That is very true. And you know what? You can be a dental hygienist and continue in your research. I actually did that for less than a year, I would say, right after I graduated dental hygiene. I worked at the Forsyth Institute. That's where actually they discovered the T. forsythia, the one that is involved in chronic periodontitis. So there's actually ways to do that. Yes, not yet. They don't really know, you know, they know it's from China so far, but they don't know exactly how and where and which animal. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to continue right here. So I just want to show you that there's some alcohol-free hand sanitizer. We know by the CDC guideline, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for those that have ethanol or alcohol content that is above 60%. This one is, and this one is. So, you know, anyhow, where I go and they say you can use the hand sanitizer, I have to look at it because, you know, I don't care you know, what brand, but I care how much alcohol there is in there. And if it's like an alcohol free, we know it's not as effective. Now, Alicia, yeah, their theories that came from bats or fish market, that is very true, very true. Now let me continue. We are getting towards the end, and I just want to talk about hand washing, right? I can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to do hand washing because that's the only thing that can really protect us right now, but also covering our mouth and anything that is exposed that can, you know, get a little droplet, stick onto some sort of wet surface that can get inside us, because one little virus can multiply into 1,000,000 virus. Okay, you might not see the effect right away, Okay, that's why they call this an incubation period. That's where it's like fabrication period. You're making it. It's not there yet. The millions, the army of the virus is not ready yet. So there's an incubation period. And I hope all of you are feeling okay. I hope friends and family around you are also doing okay. Now, last part is the epidemiology. I just want to go over some concept over here. So we have endemic versus epidemic versus pandemic. Now, let's talk about COVID-19 because that's the official name. What is COVID-19? Epidemic, endemic, or pandemic? Okay, okay. Great. So what is a pandemic? Pandemic is something that affects literally like the entire world. Some other example of pandemic have been the Black Death. Okay, it went like all around different countries. In 1918, there was another flu that went all around Europe. That is a pandemic. How do you remember this? You know, I wake up memory. I'm very passionate about how you are going to memorize them. Thank you, Don. That was the Spanish flu. Pan Am World. That is one great way, Nicole. Thank you very much for sharing that. Pan Am World. You know, does everybody know what Panem is? I mean, I know it just because of the book, right? You're referring to the Hunger Games, right? Okay, so Panem, okay. I think it's is that what is Panem actually? Is that a country or what is it? It's really a global, like kind of a mix of different district, which is different countries, something like that. Pangaea, well, can you help us understand here what Pangaea is? Like pen or x-ray, pen. Okay, so panoramic photo, Cassandra, that is great. I like that one. Panoramic photo, your photo of a very, very large area. Okay, that could be one way to remember this. Pan, okay, I think about panda. I just think about panda being like in many different countries. Like, you know, if you go to the zoo, although, you know, I have mixed feelings about the zoo, right? I really don't like seeing animals in there. But anyhow, the zoo, you know, here have a panda, the zoo in San Diego has a panda, the zoo in China has a panda. So I think about panda being like everywhere, or Kung Fu Panda, which is kind of a anime, you know, Kung Fu Panda being watched all over the world. It's not just in the US, it's not just, you know, in Korea, it's everywhere. So I think about Kung Fu Panda. That makes me think about Panda. I love that movie. And panel machine, that's another way to do that. It's like panning the entire everything, right? The entire globe. Like if you think about your head as a globe, it is going all around it. So that is also a great way, Maddie. Thanks for sharing that. Now, if you know pandemic, you know epidemic is smaller than that, okay? So how would you memorize being epidemic, being, you know, a little bit more contained? It's like within a nation usually, okay? Epi on the surface only, usually yes, right? When you do epidermis is like on just on the outside layer. That's one way to remember this. Isn't that an Epcot Center in Disney or something like that? No? Yes, Epcot. Okay, not Epcot. Epcot Center. Okay. So when I think about Epcot Center, I just think about, you know, Disney, which is in, well, I'm thinking especially the one in LA. And I'm just thinking in that specific area or in the US, that's kind of where the problem is. It's not pandemic, it's not everywhere. Now, endemic is even smaller, you know, a very, very specific area. So the big difference between an endemic and epidemic is like, you know, an endemic though is kind of predictable. It's not really predictable per se, but we're kind of understanding how fast this is growing. Okay, so if we have one person infected, there's 2-person, 3-person, you know, we kind of understand. However, if you think about epidemic, we just don't really know how fast this is going to go. Polio, for example, 1 turned into 100, especially in you know, African countries. So we're trying to just not, we're unsure what's going to happen. So that's a big difference between endemic and epidemic. So that was the the takeaway of this slide over here. Okay, FW, 3 seconds until midnight, awesome book. Talks about epidemiology, especially 1980 influenza and current pandemic situation. Just a suggestion. Okay, 3 seconds. Is that 3 seconds until midnight? And thank you very much. And Gray, you're saying EpiPen. Actually, that's actually exactly how I remember it. I think about Epi as an EpiPen in a certain location. You're going to just dab it probably on your thigh. Okay. So, I think about my thigh being like really the center, and then moves quickly through the body because we need that, right? So that's going to be like going around at a very fast, unpredicted rate. Now, this is the very last, guys. We have immunity. Let's talk about immunity just because that goes with virus. So first of all, I want you to see this word naturally versus artificially. Naturally means you're going to get it from a human. Artificially meaning you're going to get a stab, a needle. This is going to be someone, a nurse, injecting you something. That is artificial. So if you think about naturally, that comes from the mother, for example, that's naturally versus artificially. I think we understand this concept, right? Now we have to think about active versus passive. The difference between passive and active is like active means that they actually gave us the poison. They actually gave us the problem. Okay, even though when we say vaccine, they kind of took the virus and then they kind of just, it's not going to live in your body. It's not going to reproduce. It's not really going to cause you sickness. It just makes your body react to it and produce the antibodies against that. It's like they give you the problem. Versus when you say passive, you know what they give you? They give you the army. That's the difference. Okay. So passive meaning you're very sheltered. Someone gave you the answer already. Artificial means like someone threw you a question at you, threw you the problem, and you had to solve it. So let's think about this. Naturally, so it doesn't come from a needle, it comes from our human interaction or mother to baby, for example, but naturally active, meaning that you actually got infected. It naturally came to you and you got the problem and you solved it on your own. That's naturally active, acquired immunity. Naturally passive, so it came to you through a natural source, not a needle stab. Passive means that you had already an army ready for you. So when you have, for example, when a mother gives antibody to the baby, it's like the mother is gifting the baby with an army already. When we talk about artificially active acquired immunity, that's kind of the flu vaccine that we get. We get a stab and then we get the problem in our body so our body can react to it in a safe manner. And lastly, artificially passive, meaning that you get a stab, but you get an army to protect you. For example, when you have Hep B, they're not going to give you some more problems with Hep B. They're going to give you right away the solution. That is the explanation of that. So thank you very much, guys, for being here. We went a little bit over an hour because this topic I think is really, really important for all of us. It was a great, I think, opportunity to review things that we know related to the virus. And I bet now if you have StudentRDH or if you are going to study for the board examination or for any type of examination, I think you are a lot more ready. This information is really just, living with us right now. So I can't say I have a conclusion for you about the coronavirus, but at least we've been able to kind of mash it with the content that we already have so you can successfully pass the board examination. I'm just going to end with this, memes. I mean, people just crack me up online. They come up with things that I don't even know how they do, but this is very simple. You can't get infected with coronavirus if you stay home. Okay, so meaning you just need to stay home, guys. I want you to be safe. I know it's extremely challenging to be here to just be stuck. And I'll be very honest with you, I'm on my bed right now, you know, because my partner is using the room to be on his call. So, you know, we just do what we can, okay? So again, the coronavirus, now you guys know this is not the actual name, right? People are using it wrongly all over the world. What is it called? It's called the SARS CoV-2. I know my handwriting is terrible. Thank you, Alicia, for participating. Ashley, Alaya, you know, but obviously we're not going to say SARS-CoV-2 because who knows what it is. So you can say you have COVID-19, or you can say I have this virus, which is a SARS-CoV-2. But we're going to keep calling the coronavirus as a family, an umbrella term as well. That is fine. Now, guys, you guys asked for the next webinar. Now, the 29th is actually the Q&A for the success package. I don't know if some of you have the success package. Some of you have just the basic package. For the success package, we do a live Q&A session, okay? However, we have a lot of students who asked to move that, but I will be in touch, okay? Anyhow, we're all at home. We're all trying to best. Linda, you're saying if we have the success package, when is it? It's on this Sunday. However, students have asked to not do it on the Sunday because they just don't want to do it on the Sunday, okay? If you agree with that, send me an email and probably move it to like a Saturday or a Monday or Tuesday, you know, so you don't feel like you have to actually sit down and listen to me more on a Sunday, right? So I got students saying, I really don't want to do this on the Sunday. I get it. Now, Linda, I will send that to you probably within today. Now, for our StudentRDH members, some of you might be members, some of you might not be members yet. Anyhow, if you have it, I put a social media thing and I asked, do you guys want me to do a series about the virus? And, you know, 99% of you said yes. So I'm going to start a series on just the virus. I'm not going to talk about the bacteria. I'm going to just dive into one virus every week. So, you know, COVID-19 is, you know, the disease, okay, because that's not the name of the virus. Coronavirus is one of them, but we're going to talk about polio. We're going to talk about herpes because that's really important, because herpes willow gets on our finger and it can hurt us as dental professional because that's a virus as well. Shingles, that's another one. So there are certain type of viruses that are really important for us dental professional, that are important for our board examinations, and we're going to talk about that. So that's going to be a specific series that's going to be for StudentRDH members exclusively. That's not going to be open to everybody else, but if you're with StudentRDH, you will find this. I'm going to record them one by one, and it's going to live inside StudentRDH. If you have another question, a suggestion, my email is always here. It's clairej@StudentRDH. Thank you guys. Great, FA, Ashley, Shakira, let's say Linda, Tao, Mary, Caroline, Alaya, Liz, Vlada, Sadi, Yo-Yo, Veronica, Kelly, Harpreet. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm sorry if I haven't been able to shout out your name. This has been a completely oversold course, but I would love everybody to, you know, share what you have learned today and being able to, you know, intelligently repeat it. And if you have more information that I don't know yet, because even though I read it every day, you might have the latest that came, you know, 5 minutes earlier, send me an email. I would love to know more. And I want you guys to be safe, although it might be just claustrophobic to be at home. You know, that's just the only thing we can do right now, okay? Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to leave you here, and we will soon see you with StudentRDH and the virus series, okay? Have a great day. Bye. Get up!